let's get into it. First impressions, it's one page. I love one-page resumes for entry level. That's important. There's a quick summary there. Seeking opportunities to lead and grow in global gaming operations. So that actually tells me exactly what you're looking for, or it tells me at least a vision and a passion. That's what I get from it, right? And literally, you're seeking opportunities. So that's perfectly fine. You're looking for a job to grow in global gaming and operations. Again, like this kind of shows me the impression I'm getting is you're a go-getter and you want to be involved in gaming and probably the operations side. So that's cool. It's kind of vague, and I think this is a good general resume. And then once you go into like, I'm applying for, director of operations position. I'm applying for event coordinating, media management. That's when you start changing this up to be very tailored to whatever you're specifically applying for. Also, this is a good usage of different fonts, different colors, bolding. Something that I notice is I'd rather have your experience and leadership at the top, right? This first third, technical proficiencies, key skills, favorite games, education, that's less important to me than your experience and leadership. And I would probably put your experience over leadership. Most likely whoever's looking at your resume will not get to the bottom half of your resume. Luckily, it's really organized, so I'm just going to jump to experience if I were looking at this resume. But every line they read, you have the potential of losing their attention, right? People have 30 seconds, 15 seconds to look at your resume. So that means they're going to start at the top and go down and decide whether or not they want to continue reading the resume if you're a good fit. And so you want to make it easier for them. And that's why I think executive summaries are super, super important, because someone could read your executive summary and then decide to throw away your resume or keep your resume. And if the executive summary really hits me, then I'll keep reading, and I might read the whole thing. So that's why I would just put the experience at the top, because that's probably the most important stuff, right? And like I said before, I'm looking for experience, so I'll jump to experience, right? If I'm looking for you having these specific technical proficiencies or skills, I will jump to those sections. But again, people naturally read top to bottom, so you want to put your most important stuff at the top. But my first impressions are really good. You got lots of experience, not too much to read. Good. You have leadership experience, so I'm just automatically thinking that you're a leader. Whether that's true or not, we'll find out. But that's what I'm thinking. Margins are a little small because, again, I think you're trying to stuff a lot of information in here. And I think you can up the font, and hopefully we'll be able to find things that you could take out your resume, save you a few lines to give you a little more breathing room. But still, I think this is a really good resume so far. Let's jump into it. All right. I'm going to actually jump down to the experience. Experience. ESPO. Don't know what that is. Business Development and Title Specialist, League of Legends. Okay. So I don't know what ESPO is. Maybe people know. But either way, you're telling me you've done Business Development and Business Development, League of Legends. So I have that in my head. That's still good. And you're currently working there. Perform market research to collect over 200 potential sponsors, influencers, teams, and talent in League of Legends in the League of Legends esports community. That's pretty cool. That leaves question marks, but I think good question marks. Use Zoho CRM to input, track, and onboard leads onto the platform and completed other B2C development goals. Okay, so you're talking in business and marketing terms. Perfectly fine. I think that's who you're targeting, so that's okay. I guess what I'm confused now is, did this market research lead to getting sponsors? Or are you collecting information on sponsors, influencers, teams, and talent? For what? Because I think I can interpret this two ways. I can interpret it that you performed information on influencers, teams, and talent to get sponsors, or you're collecting all this information for market research to do something that you haven't said here. So maybe it's to decide whether or not we throw an esports expo, or it's to decide that we should go into League of Legends as an investment for an esports team. I think you're trying to collect all this data to make an informed decision, and I don't know what that informed decision is. I think that would be important to put in here. So this is the problem. If I don't know what ESPO is, then it's going to take me a while. I have to go Google it myself, right? Because the questions that's bumping up into my head, if I am if I am not convinced enough in your resume, I'm not going to go look it up. While this could have had a chance to really, really impress me. So because this is a startup and people might not know about it, maybe you need to explain what Espo is, right? And even if you don't want to explain what it is, you giving more information to figure out like what the goals are here for this organization and what problems you're solving and what goals you're trying to achieve or you have achieved, I think is really, really important and really, really interesting here. Especially when we're talking about something with business development, I think any business person would be like really interested. So I think that's the only thing missing here in this first one. Otherwise, I'm really, really impressed by it. All right, so let's move on. Infinity of Cool Springs, Porter. Oh, it's transporter, huh? Okay. Transport loaner vehicles to and from customers who are unable to drive to the dealership. Shuttle Nissan headquarters employees to and from deal. Okay, so this is pretty much a job to make money. And yeah, to keep making money. That's what I see that as. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there's something very valuable in that, to just know that you're always hustling and working. You need to pay for your college, you need to pay for living expenses, whatever. You're just staying busy. That's important. Using these two bullet points to describe what your job responsibilities are might not be the most effective thing to do. Instead, if there's a way to figure out how to spin this experience into the job you're applying for, whether it's like customer service, I want to know more than I just drove people. Now, if that is all you can really say from this, that's fine. Put it as one bullet point, and this is just an experience that just tells me, hey, I worked. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Unless you have something more important to take up that space, then you can cross this out. Veterans Affairs, student workers, Mesa, Arizona. Yeah, you've been in a lot of places. That's really interesting and curious to me. Because even Tennessee and Arizona are two opposite places of the country. Let's see. Data entry and transfer from Excel to VA1's software. Use Salesforce to validate data entries and access student information. Okay. So I think you're missing impact here. Again, this is good. Like, you got work done. Do I care that you use Salesforce? Do I care that you use VA1s? Do I care that you use Excel? It's all going to depend on the job you're applying for. So what do you want them to know about your Veterans Affairs that's going to help you get the job? Is it because you're familiar with data entry? Is it because you're detail oriented? You have to figure out what those answers are, and then make sure you say your responsibility and how you've had impact. Navy Exchange. So this one was full year, so that's impressive. That's interesting, and maybe this is how you got to Spain. I'm like so interested in this resume. Like, I'm so curious about this person, right? So like, actually, I just want to I want to be completely convinced so I can just like send you an interview and like talk to you and figure out like, wait, what is your life story? This is so interesting, right? So these are like little breadcrumbs you're leaving. Provided high-level customer service and technical support. Assisted as a flex role associate for other departments as needed. Actually, I really like that second bullet point. In esports, I think you'll always hear the term, and in startups, like, I wear many different hats, because people end up doing different responsibilities all the time, because we run lean and we rub shoulders a lot, and there's just really talented people that know random things, We have a videographer that makes his own t-shirts at Golden Guardians. So like, we've had him print stuff for us or help design graphics works, even though he's hired for video work. So that's like really cool. So saying that you've been a flex role is very curious, and I wish there was more detail on just like, even just showing that like you've done random things to help people meet, even like saying like to meet stringent deadlines, or to fill in the fact that like you don't have enough employees or something like that. So that tells me a lot about you, and that's really cool, and I like that. I just want more impact in there. Provide a high-level customer service and technical support, though. I'm curious like how you can spin that one too. Like, what kind of customer support? What kind of technical support? If you had to learn like brand new things to be able to understand technical support, I think that's good. So yeah, these are good, like just check boxes. This is what I did. I want to know impact. Fleet Logistics Center, Rota, Spain, logistics support internship. So I think also you can potentially combine these two. If it'll save you a little bit of space. You know, you can combine the dates to make it look even more full. It also, like, it's cool that you went from internship to having a job with them or extending that. So I think you could even combine these in a creative way to save space. Logistics supports with FLC Rota for Navy ships visiting. So, okay. So this is telling pretty much exactly what this is saying right here. Yeah, that first bullet point needs to be more meaningful to me. Like, tell me what that means, how that looks, what problems you solved. Generate logistics situational reports sent to higher headquarters. Okay. So I know there's ways to make this more interesting too. Because you just sent reports, but was this for safety? To ensure efficiencies, to ensure accountability, to make sure things are running faster, to make sure that supplies are equipped, our inventory is continually stacked up, like those kind of things. Like, give me those answers and impact, and tell me how it's important. I think that is going to make all these experiences pop more, right? Okay, let's jump up to leadership, because that's what I think this is the order that I'd want things in. Staff, ASU, Esports Association. Okay, you know what? I take it back. I want your leadership above your experience. Or I might even say esports experience instead of leadership. Because right now I see that these are two esports things. And so far, this is the only maybe gaming thing, maybe not esports, because I don't know if just looking at the name. I know now, after I've done a research, that this is esports related. So maybe even just putting esports experience and moving Espo up here too, to kind of fill in this gap of 2020 to the present. I would consider doing that, right? You don't have to do what everyone else has done traditionally when it comes to organization. You just need to make sure that whatever way you organize your information is just makes sense to the reader, right? So even saying esports experience, non-esports experience, like, I think that's very clear to me, because then I can look at this non-esports experience and be like, what am I looking for here? I'm looking to understand that this person works really hard, has well-rounded, has more interest than just esports, those kind of things. So staff, ASU Esports Association. So I know that you go to Arizona State University, or you went there. That might not be obvious here, so I might even put Arizona State University Esports Association. I might do that. If you're applying for a job in Arizona or in the nearby areas, maybe you can just keep it ASU, and people already know. Also, just saying staff as your position is very weak. Even if that's what they labeled you as, I would actually just find a descriptive title. Managed calendar of 18 teams for matches and tournaments. Secured Cooler Master sponsorship. Provide 12 sets of peripherals for esports upcoming open use gaming facility. So is this location important? I don't think so. Unless there's something really special about it that I'm not aware of, or if you're the person that's gonna be reading this resume is aware of, I would either cut it or tell me why it's important that is it. But secured Cooler Master sponsorship for peripherals, to get free peripherals for the ASU Esports Club, or for the club facility, something like that. Ran and helped select inaugural Valorant roster and for Andbox tournament and successfully finished top 8. Launched Twitch sponsored campaign to promote that. There's a grammatical error there. To promote that included community giveaway. Okay, so these are a little fluffy. I think a lot is happening here, and I think it's interesting. I think it's like 8 out of 10 on the way there. I think if you add a little more impact, fix the grammatical errors, you really focus on what the point you're trying to get across is, I think that's going to help that pop a lot more. Then obviously changing, like, maybe you could even just say club manager or partnerships, because it looks like you secured sponsorships. Like, that's a big deal. That's huge. And especially if you're looking for a job that requires that, I think that's hard to come by, and to prove that you've done it, like, that's a big deal. Fortnite Community Manager, ASU Esports Association. Provided initial rounds of feedback prior to inaugural play versus entry into collegiate esports. And know what you've done. That's important, especially when skimming through a resume. That's why the staff is not like, you need to change that up. Provided initial rounds of feedback prior to inaugural plays versus entry into collegiate esports. Managed the #1 collegiate Fortnite team on the West Coast for 3 semesters. That's cool. For a long time. #1. So these are impactful things. I'm so curious at what that looked like. Acted as collegiate student advisor and leader for students new to the scene interested in growing their collegiate esports community, and was given Coach of the Season award for this. Okay, this is worded really funny. So this bullet point gets a little wordy and long. It loses its punchiness and impact because it just kind of starts using a lot of words to say something simpler, I think. Acted as is not good. I brought this up last time, and I think it's really important. Let's go to a different link. Last time I went to this. This time I'll go to the Indeed.com, which is a resume thing. They look at resumes. A website. Oh my gosh. Job posting site. There we go. So probably watching this is important, but good action words, right? Acted as is not probably on this list. Is not. Enacted. So I would really think about like what's a strong word to use. Maybe advised or led, even educated. So then after leadership, I might put education, technical proficiency, skills, key skills are my favorite games. Education. On a previous resume, I talked about like not putting high school, not putting primary school, those like that stuff on your resume. I think this is a case where why would you put your high school? It's because you did it in Spain. I think that's a very short thing to say, but that explains a lot more about your experience, because I might also think you're international. Luckily, you put San Francisco in here, so I know you're in the US. And you're also willing to relocate. That's cool. But I think putting this context to make your resume make sense is really important. Like, why were you in Spain? Why were you in Spain? But now I have that answer to me. So this is right. You're not saying like I got an amazing GPA or I did all this high school stuff. You're just literally putting this in here to say that like that's why I was in Spain. I went to high school in Spain. That's why I have work experience in Spain. So I think that's cool. Perfectly fine to use up that. Maybe make it into one line or something, but I think that works. I'll also put a little space between here just to separate that. Arizona State University, BS Management, WP Carey School of Business. Okay. Favorite games. I think this is fine. This gives a little more personality and makes you a little more well-rounded, especially because there's a lot. And because you say you have community and team management experience in these, that's important. I think that's a really cool addition and creative way to do that. Technical proficiencies and key skills. Okay. Adobe Photoshop, Asana. It's hard to read through all this, but I think you did an okay job. I might want to see like bullet points instead, but you're trying to save room, so I think this is okay. But Adobe Photoshop CC, Asana, WordPress, G Suite, Office 365. I would honestly just put Office 365 and scratch out this stuff to keep it shorter. Slack, soldering, PC building, Salesforce, Power BI, Zoho. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think you could potentially scratch off soldering and building PC, but that's kind of cool too. Communication, leadership, teamwork, community management. I would also try to figure out a way to not get community management cut off like that. Maybe switch out negotiating and put community negotiating, self-management. Self-management's a weird one. Emotional and cultural intelligence. That's interesting. I like that one. Yeah, I think this is fine. Again, I think the biggest takeaway, move this stuff, this top half, to the bottom. I would change maybe esports experience and like esports experience. Then maybe not non-esports experience, but like other experience. Yeah, I think that's how I would do it. Because non-esports experience kind of sounds like it sounds a little more dismissive. But I'll put the important stuff at the top. Move this stuff to the bottom and continue thinking about like why every single bullet point matters on your resume. What is the point of putting this on this resume? There's no point, remove it, or start getting really creative on how to like turn it into something that really fits what the job is asking for. I think those are like my two big takeaways. Otherwise, I think this resume looks great. It reads pretty well too. You have good experience. You just have to make sure that the impact is really, really obvious and they're convinced. And then customize this summary, profile, executive summary, whatever you want to call it, to be really catered towards the job you're applying for. Otherwise, great resume, Taylor.